Okay, let's unpack this. Maybe you've been right there, feeling totally overwhelmed. It's like you're in the middle of a storm, behaviorally speaking. Your child's hitting or yelling, maybe shutting down completely, and you're just thinking, wow, I am really struggling here. What am I doing wrong?
And that feeling, it's so, so common. The source material we're looking at today really emphasizes that. It's not about failing.
Right.
It's more like a signal,
Yeah.
a sign that maybe some support or a new way of looking at things or just deeper connection is needed.
And that's exactly what we're doing in this deep dive. We're digging into excerpts from Guiding Your Child's Behavior with Understanding and Connection.
Yeah, it offers a really kind of powerful shift on how to see these moments.
So the goal is to really get into it, understand the why behind the behaviors, the science, and then, okay, what do we actually do?
Exactly. What's really going on beneath the surface, and how does this guide help us navigate it?
It kicks off with a pretty foundational idea, one that sort of reframes everything.
It really does. The core concept from this source is that all behavior is communication.
Right. Seems simple, maybe, but if you really think about it, if behavior is talking, then a tantrum isn't just defiance.
A message.
Yeah, a message. Often kids just don't have the words or the emotional tools to say, I feel totally overwhelmed, or I need you, or I'm scared.
So it comes out physically
Mm-hmm.
or loudly.
Mm-hmm. Instead of words.
And this connects straight to brain development. Harvard Center on the Developing Child talks about how early experiences literally build the brain. So if a child is stressed or overwhelmed or hasn't developed those regulation skills yet,
Their ability to communicate calmly just tanks.
totally tanks.
Yeah.
And that's when you get what the source calls these big behaviors, the hitting, yelling, the big no, or even just shutting down.
Those feel like a sudden squall, don't they? But the guide says they aren't random. They're usually triggers.
Right. Things like, basic unmet needs. Are they hungry, tired, too much going on, or maybe not enough stimulation?
Could be sensory stuff, too.
Absolutely. Or just emotional overload they can't handle. Changes in routine can throw them off big time.
Developmental leaps, too, right? Their brains are changing so fast.
For sure. And don't forget stress or trauma in their environment. That hits kids hard.
Okay, so what's really useful here? The guide suggests a key shift in our thinking.
Yes, this is crucial. Instead of that gut reaction, how do I make this stop?
Which is often where we go first.
It is. The guide pushes us to ask, okay, wait, what is my child trying to tell me with this?
Just asking that question, it changes your whole stance, doesn't it?
Completely. Opens the door to understanding, not just reacting.
Okay, I get that. Behavior is communication, it's triggered, it's linked to their development. But let's get into the neuroscience. Why does this connection-first approach actually work on a brain level?
Yeah, this is fascinating. The guide really stresses that a kid's brain is, well, it's still under construction. It's just different from ours.
Especially that front part, right? The prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. The bit behind the forehead. That's your CEO.
Yeah.
Impulse control, making good decisions, managing big feelings. And in kids, it's nowhere near finished.
Yeah, I remember reading about that research way back, Keed and others, showing it keeps developing well into the 20s.
Well into the 20s, massive change is still happening. So when your child is like melting down, yelling, hitting down, they're not really accessing that thinking part of the brain.
They're somewhere else.
They're operating from what the source calls the bottom brain, think survival mode. The amygdala, the brain's sort of smoke detector.
The fear center?
Yeah, that's running the show. It's all reaction, not reflection.
So trying to reason with them then, explaining the rules.
It's like talking to a brick wall. That logical prefrontal cortex is basically offline.
The fire alarm's blaring too loud.
Exactly. Dr. Daniel Siegel, who wrote The Whole Brain Child, has this quote the source uses: a child who is dysregulated needs connection, not correction.
Connection, not correction.
Yeah.
That really nails it. And understanding that offline brain explains why yelling back or punishing in that exact moment just doesn't work.
Right. They literally can't process it. What they can process, what their brain needs then, is co-regulation.
Co-regulation, meaning?
Meaning they need us, our calm. A regulated adult whose nervous system can kind of help soothe their frantic one, bring them back down so they feel safe enough to eventually learn to regulate themselves.
Okay, so we've got the why behavior talks and the how, this developing brain needing connection. What about the what? What practical things does the source say we can actually do?
Right, the actionable stuff. And the very first step the guide gives is maybe the hardest, but it's foundational.
Let me guess. Manage ourselves first.
Bingo. Regulate yourself first. because kids, as the source says, they kind of borrow our calm or our chaos.
Yeah, if we meet their storm with our own hurricane.
It just gets bigger. So noticing when you're getting triggered, and we all do, and pausing, taking a breath, maybe stepping away for 60 seconds if you can safely, that's not weakness, it's strategy.
It's necessary for both of you.
Totally. The guide offers some simple techniques, like that classic 4-4-4 breathing. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4.
Simple, but works.
Or using little affirmations, just quiet things you tell yourself, like, okay, this is tough, I can handle this. Or grounding, like hand on your heart, feel your feet on the floor, just anchoring yourself.
Right, tools for us first. So once we're a bit more anchored, what's next, according to the guide?
Then you lean into connection before correction. This builds on Siegel and Bryson's work, too. The idea is a kid needs to feel safe, seen, and soothed before they can actually learn or change their behavior.
Trying to teach or correct before they feel connected is kind of pointless then?
Pretty much. Like trying to teach long division during an earthquake drill, you need that foundation of trust first.
The source gives a really clear example of this shift, doesn't it? Instead of jumping to stop acting like that,
Which is totally focused on stopping the behavior, yeah.
you shift to something like, wow, you're having a really hard time right now. I'm here.
Exactly. You're naming their struggle, showing empathy, saying, I'm with you. That is the connection.
Okay, what else? The guide mentions predictability, routines.
Oh, huge. Kids really do thrive when they know what's coming. It reduces anxiety.
And a lot of tricky behaviors are fueled by anxiety, right? Feeling out of control.
Definitely. So having predictable routines gives them that sense of safety. Using visual schedules, maybe timers for transitions between activities.
Little songs even.
Yeah. Little rituals. They help the brain know what's next and prepare, which can really cut down on resistance.
Makes sense. Then there's teaching emotional vocabulary.
Yes. Giving kids the actual words for their feelings. It's incredibly empowering for them.
Because if you can name it, you can start to tame it. That idea.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Helps them understand what's happening inside them rather than just being swept away by it and acting out.
So instead of just seeing the stomping, you might say.
You might try, wow, it looks like you're feeling really frustrated right now. Is that right? Do you want to tell me? Or maybe we can stomp those frustration feet outside together for a minute.
So you label it, validate it, and offer a constructive way to express it.
Mm-hmm. And then there's positive reinforcement. The old catch 'em being good.
But the guide says be specific.
Yes, specificity is key. Not just a vague, good job, but something like, hey, I noticed you put your shoes in the basket without me even asking. That was super helpful. Thanks.
So they know exactly what you liked and why.
Precisely. It makes the desired behavior clearer and more likely to be repeated.
Okay. And the last practical tip mentioned is ignoring minor misbehaviors. That one can feel tricky.
It can feel really counterintuitive. But the thinking is, for those low-level, non-harmful behaviors that are clearly just bids for attention, like maybe some whining or pouting.
Reacting, even negatively, gives them the attention they're seeking.
Right. You inadvertently reinforce the whining. So the guide suggests planned ignoring, deliberately not giving attention to that specific behavior.
But you have to pair it with noticing the good stuff.
Absolutely crucial. You ignore the whine, but the moment they ask nicely or do something helpful, you pour on the positive attention. You're teaching which communication methods work.
Okay, these are really concrete tools, grounded in the science we talked about, but the source is also real about it. Sometimes you try all this and you still feel stuck.
Yeah, totally overwhelmed, like nothing's working.
Yeah.
And the guide is really clear and compassionate about this.
Saying it's okay to get help.
More than okay.
Mm.
It emphasizes there's zero shame in reaching out for professional support. It's not failing.
It actually calls it potentially one of the most loving choices you make for your family.
Which is a great way to frame it. It really can be life-changing. The source suggests a few avenues.
Like checking with your pediatrician first.
Always a good starting point. Rule out any underlying medical stuff or maybe developmental things that could be playing a role.
And then there are specialists.
Yeah, like a child therapist or maybe behavior specialists who can offer really tailored strategies. Or even a parenting coach or counselor.
Someone to work with you, the parent, on implementing these things.
Exactly. Support for you, support for the child, support for the whole family system.
So really, this whole deep dive into the guide, it boils down to a big shift, doesn't it? From trying to control the behavior.
Yeah, moving away from control and towards understanding what's underneath it. Connecting first, guiding with empathy, using what we know about their brains.
It's a reminder that these stormy moments are tough for everyone involved, the child and the parent. And, you're not the only one going through it.
Definitely not. The guide really resonates with that idea from Dr. Ross Green. Children do well if they can.
And the implication is parents do well if they can too. We need the right tools, the understanding, the support.
hmm It asks us to look past the surface behavior and see the need, the feeling, the struggle underneath.
Right. So maybe here's something to chew on as you think about all this. Just consider, maybe in one tricky moment this week, how shifting your focus, shifting from how do I stop this to, okay, what might this behavior be telling me? How might that little shift change your reaction?
And maybe change the whole interaction. Worth thinking about.